Chapter 16. The D-Day Briefing. I stood on top of Ranger Dan's trailer to give my long-awaited D-Day presentation to the troops, with my Panama hat, with an insect repellent bottle in the hat band, my flared tan riding pants, my 20-pocketed khaki shirt, my knee-high black riding boots, my scarlet-red sash festooned with all the medals for combat authorized by the Postmaster General, and my World War II German Field Marshal baton. I placed my hands on my hips, threw out my chin, and readied myself to speak. Unfortunately, Princess Athena, Ranger Dan, and Monty Furnish were not able to attend the presentation. Princess Athena notified me that she had been called away to an emergency palm reading, in which a Gemini was scheduled to marry a Leo a full moon cycle past the 7th house. The tarot readings were not favorable, and the two horoscopes conflicted across exactly 7 vital karma fields and 13 levels of chi. I fully understood the seriousness of the emergency as soon as I heard that chi was conflicted. This conflict alone can cause children to be born left-handed, cause human beings to join square dancing clubs, and cause married couples to talk to one another almost every day. I prepared an absence approval chit, with the normal postage stamps in the corners, and told Princess Athena to wear the chit around her neck hanging from an approved lanyard made from certified Aztec gold. Monty Furnish could not attend the D-Day presentation because he was attacked by NASA hyper-inertial kinetic missiles launched by a modular ground-to-air system disguised as a fire truck. He was able to land his helicopter on the roof of a grain elevator and fight off a full division of heavily armed NASA operatives. But after an hour of intense combat, the grain elevator was hit with a series of 500-pound bunker-busting bombs. Monty, thinking quickly, leaped into his crop-dusting helicopter and using his nuclear power reserve system, which is an economical option on this brand of helicopter, he escaped the grain elevator just before it imploded. Monty then executed a perfect fighting extraction maneuver, setting up a perimeter at Fargo Heights Bar and Grill. I sent him a well-done message, promoted him to private first class with platinum palm branches, and promised to send him a full transcript of my D-Day speech. Ranger Dan was in the compound but restricted to his trailer, where he was storming through a box set of VHS Matic episodes. He had sustained multiple internal injuries while manning the trenches the night before. The operational after-action report wasn't complete, but for sure the CIA, in conjunction with revolutionary factions of the Air Force and Coast Guard, had attacked our headquarters compound with neutron bombs. The force of the blast had filled in the trenches and left a C-9 Caterpillar front loader smoking in the field of battle. Following the attack, Ranger Dan stumbled down to Fortress Clyde, and using a special mix of ethanol to kill the pain, he was able to hold the enemy off until after sunrise. While Ranger Dan's combat wounds didn't allow him to transmit all the details, his recounting of the events exactly matched scenario that played out during my recon mission. The CIA attack group must have retreated once they got word that I had penetrated their perimeter at the coal mine, and that Larry and his group had established an attack corridor on Baxter Road. Furthermore, the enemy's failure to blow up the Baxter Road bridge had certainly weakened the enemy's battle disposition. "Don't stand up, men," I ordered the assembled men. Laurie, Tripper, and Jake were sitting cross-legged in the grass in front of Ranger Dan's trailer. The grass was badly cut up from what looked like the tracks of an M1A Abrams tank, no doubt sent in following the neutron bomb attack. Tripper was filming the event for his YouTube channel, which, of course, would document for posterity the momentous task before us. Larry was reading a military history magazine or a military tactics journal, and Tripper was adjusting the feathers on one of his crossbow arrows, readying himself for battle. "Is this going to take long?" shouted Larry just before I was scheduled to speak. Larry lay back in the grass and placed a large clump of sod on his forehead to center his inner fighting spirit and align his mortal components with the elements of the coming theater of conflict. It illuminated my mind to know that I had motivated these troopers to such a cauldron of bubbling enthusiasm, to know that it was I who recruited them, disciplined them, and trained them in the art of war. But I was too humble to mention such details in my prepared remarks, as we were now moving on to our goal and final victory. "Men and women of the Expeditionary Force," I began, stretching out my arms in an inclusive and commanding way. "You are about to embark on the great crusade for which we have striven these many weeks. I went on to explain that we had driven the enemy back to their defensive line at the opening to the coal mine. This would be a last-stand engagement for them, as we would accept prisoners only as long as they could provide intelligence information. Robots and cyborgs would be exempt from termination if their on-off switches were functional and in good repair. The intergalactic serial numbers of all extraterrestrials captured would be recorded, and they would be waterboarded until they provided information required by the International Antarctic Treaty and the Federalist Papers. We would impound the cell phones of all captive civilians and direct them to read a copy of the Sovereign Citizen Handbook before they sprayed with delusing dust and released into the general population. However, due to health concerns, no civilians would be released until they had proven that they have not received the deadly New World Order COVID vaccination. We would attack behind NASA CIA lines tomorrow morning at 0430, with Monty dropping us off by helicopter. Once we established our beachhead, we would attack the hedgerows and clear the minefields, establishing a supply corridor back to Baxter Road and a Red Ball Express supply convoy back to Fortress Clyde. After we hold the normal war crimes trials, Princess Athena will establish contact with the demons in the cave, and we may need to purge the demons that have been brainwashed by NASA before advancing to Middle-earth and the Ice Wall. Princess Athena will make certain that the civil rights of all demons, ghosts, and spirits captured are strictly protected. The men demonstrated an enormous level of enthusiasm for the plan, with Larry fainting with ecstasy at one point, and with Tripper and Jake falling into fits of mirth and happiness at each critical point of my plan for the Great Crusade. "Shall we use Tripper's crossbow to terminate cyborgs?" asked Larry, still lying back in the grass with a clump of sod on his forehead. "Or should we use Tripper's 410 shotgun?" "No, while not all of our laser weapons will be available by tomorrow," I answered Larry. "Our lightsabers will work against cyborgs unless their outer skin has been impregnated with diamond dust fused with pomegranate sap." Jake spoke up. "And where is that so-called Princess Athena? I saw her at Walgreens this morning eating out of a can of sardines and washing it down with kale juice. Her VW bus was filled with butterflies, and she was wearing Mickey Mouse ears under her hat. I don't think she's for real." "It is suspicious," I answered Jake, "that she would be wearing Mickey Mouse ears under her hat, and not over her hat in the conventional way, but ghost whisperers are sometimes a little strange and often have unconventional means of expression." Jake spoke up again. "But I went up there yesterday and checked that old cave out. It only goes back 100 feet, and I saw no ghosts." I ignored Jake's delusional comment, as first he was the person who first claimed the cave was haunted and that it led to the Middle-earth. And second, ghosts are invisible, and it takes a professional like Princess Athena to capture them. I then explained to the men that we would muster at midnight to assemble our gear and get ready for our 0430 jump-off. I further explained that the time from now until midnight would be used for training and calisthenics, that is, once we had dug out the trenches that had been filled in by the neutron bomb attack. By the time I finished outlining the day's training agenda, the men had strayed away from the parade grounds, eager to confront the enemy and bring glory to all sovereign citizens worldwide. By the time I had climbed down from the top of the trailer, I saw the men leaving the area in their POVs. It was clear to me that the men had internalized the plan and were totally vested in their individual roles. Furthermore, I was gratified to see them scurry away so quickly and without direction to gather up all the personal gear necessary to ensure tomorrow's total mission success.